Hey guys, I'm Evan. Welcome to Country View Acres. So today I'm going to finally start to mess with this old oil-filled pipe. This pipe is in fairly bad shape, but we're going to try to find some good pieces here. We're going to try to weld them together and turn them into fence braces so that we can stretch field fencing and fence in our front 12 acres here on our property. And since this is the first time ever building anything with this pipe, this is definitely going to be a learning day. But I think the first thing I need to do is I need to make some type of some stands to be able to hold the pipe, to be able to cut it and weld it together and hold the pipe up off the ground where it's easy to work on. And then I'm going to have to actually learn how to notch the pipe properly to be able to fit it together and weld it up. And then I'll also be welding on this for the first time as well. So this is definitely going to be a learning day. I think it's better to learn the whole process and kind of work out the bugs up here at the workshop rather than trying to do it out in the field for the first time. So I think this will be a good location to just kind of get the hang of everything. So I think I'm going to build a total of 4 stands to be able to hold the pipe up and be able to work on it. And I've come up with a plan. So I've had these extra discs like off of a disc harrow, and I think that these will sit nice and flat on the ground, and this will be the base. And then off of that base, I've got some 1-inch pipe. So basically, we'll attach that to the bottom, and then at the very top, we'll have a cradle, hopefully adjustable height cradle to be able to sit the pipe down in. But we'll go ahead, start cutting this, and start putting it together, and we'll see how it turns out. So the reason I bought 1-inch Schedule 40 pipe is because a 1-inch bolt basically fits right inside of there. So I need to attach the disc on the bottom for the base. So what I want to do is I'm going to weld this nut onto this pipe, and then I can just bolt it on there with this 1-inch bolt, a couple big washers, and then we will have the base of these stands made. So we'll go ahead and get these nuts welded on and see if we can at least get the bottom put together. So we're going to take our 1-inch bolt with a washer, put it on the back side of the disc, and then I'm just going to thread the nut that we just welded on. All right, good and tight. That's what it looks like so far. So on the top of the stand, I want to make an adjustable height cradle for the pipe to be able to sit in. And to do that, I've bought some 1-inch all thread. I'm going to cut this into 4 different pieces, and then I've got some 1-inch nuts to put on each one of those. And basically each one of these pieces is going to slide down inside this pipe. And it'll rest on that nut, and you can adjust this nut and raise it up and down. On the very top of the all thread, I want to make like a V-shape cradle to weld on the very top of that. And we'll make that in the hydraulic press. So after going through my pile of metal, I really don't have any good flat material to bend into a V to make a cradle out of. But I did find kind of a scrap piece of 2-inch angle iron, and that makes a pretty good V right there. I think this will work for a cradle. I'm going to go ahead and just cut this into 4-inch pieces, weld it to the top of the all thread, and then our pipe stand should be complete. So this used oil filled pipe that they sell it because it actually failed a pressure test. So they pressure this up to, I think, around 4,000 pounds. It's pretty high pressure. And if it springs a leak or if it ruptures any of those sections of pipe, they pull out and they sell them as this used oil filled pipe. So most of these pieces will have some type of a pinhole or a split or some type of defect in them. And they come anywhere from around 21 to 31 feet long, somewhere in there. And you just got to cut out the sections. If it's too bad for you to use for fence posts, then you just cut that section out and use what you can. And these here are cutoff pieces because the pipes I bought were 31 feet long. When I put them on the trailer, they stuck out 11 feet past the end of the trailer. So way too far. So I ended up cutting about 9 feet off of each one of those pipes, and that's what this is right here. And these will be nice short pieces to be able to start with and learn off of. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but right here, there's actually a bulge in that pipe. It's just slightly bigger diameter. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off right here, and I'm going to use a plasma cutter and see if we can make it nice and straight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to hold the plasma cutter here, and I'm going to try to turn the pipe. It actually worked. So now we got it cut off clean. Put a measuring tape up here. Hopefully you can see how thick that is. It's almost a 1/4 inch thick. So it's pretty stout pipe. So that's why this makes pretty good fence posts. So I bought this off Amazon. It's a pipe guide for notching pipe. And it just opens up. You just put it on your pipe and then you can use it to mark it. I've just got me a silver Sharpie here. And hopefully I'll be able, hopefully I can see this when I'm cutting. So when you notch your pipe, it's going to look something like this once it's notched. So give it a shot. So now I just got to clean this up with a grinder and just kind of get the final shape to it. All right, let's go ahead and see how this fits. Well, that ain't too bad. There might be a little bit of a gap in there, but really all that is weldable. That's not too bad for the first time. So when I put this cutting guide on here and marked it, on the bottom side, there's actually a nice line right here, and I was able to mark that with this marker. So I have the center of this notch marked right here. Now I need to transfer this to the other end so that I can cut the exact same notch and be perfectly in line with each other. So I've got me a piece of angle iron. I'm hoping that this will sit on here perfectly, I guess, straight. So I think that worked. It looks nice and straight with the other side. So I'm going to leave this pipe guide about 3/4 of an inch from the end. That way my plasma cutter tip will fit on there and not fall off the edge. All right, I think I've got everything laid out exactly the way it should be. So this is the post and this is the horizontal brace that we notched. I've got it right where I want to weld it. I've made sure that this is completely 90 degrees with each other, so everything looks like it's in the exact place. Now the problem is, once I got everything lined up there, I can tell the gap on this side is actually bigger than the gap on the other side on the way that I notched that. So it's going to be a pretty big gap to fill in, but I'm going to go ahead and grab the stick welder, since that's what we'll be using in the field, and see if we can get this all welded up. I'm basically going to just try to make a complete brace here in the shop, and I can just go set this in concrete later on, but this is good practice just trying to make the whole thing here. A fairly big gap to fill. Needless to say, I'm a beginner when it comes to stick welding, and these gaps have proven to be a problem. Of course, after I started welding it, the gaps got bigger, and I'm just not very good at filling in gaps with a stick welder yet. So I think I've learned that I need to work on my notches a little bit more so that they fit up perfectly and I don't have any gaps. I think that'll save me a lot on the welding. All right, I turned the welder down just a little bit more and I was able to get that hole filled in. So good deal. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go over it and just kind of do another pass over the top of it, hopefully make it look a little bit better and kind of just strengthen everything up. Well, I think I'm running out of daylight. I think this is about as far as I'm going to get. Let me take it a little closer and show you this weld. That second pass really kind of helped, I guess, clean everything up, make it look a lot better. It doesn't look good, but it looks better than it was after putting that second pass on there. So today has definitely been a learning day for me, that is for sure. So I think what went well for me was like the plasma cutter, just getting it cut off fairly straight. That went well. Getting it the rough shape of the notch, I mean, that was really easy to do. Now I think you could use the plasma cutter and try to angle cut with the plasma cutter and try to get it a lot closer so you didn't have to grind it so much to get that perfect notch. That would probably take a little bit or a lot more practice to be able to do that. But definitely learned that you don't want like any gaps, or at least very little gaps in there, and it'll weld probably a lot easier. So definitely need to work on the grinding of the notch, try to get that a lot better fit up, and I think I'll have a little better luck. And then the other thing, of course, is just I am not experienced using a stick welder. I've MIG welded most of my life, so the stick welder I've probably got 2-3 hours of experience on, like very little experience using a stick welder. So definitely got a lot to learn still, but I think that this still was the best idea for me. At least do it up here in a controlled environment where I can kind of take my time and just practice all of the techniques. And it'll be a lot easier when I actually go and do it in the field. Now, as for this piece that we're putting together right here, I'm gonna try to assemble a complete pre-made brace. And so that is gonna be another post, and then there's gonna be an angled piece that goes down to a little stub post in the ground. And it'll probably end up being, by the time this is all welded together, it's probably gonna be somewhere around 18 feet long. It's gonna be a very big brace. I figured I would just take it out there and just set it all at once in concrete once I got it all done. And it'll just be a good practice for here at the shop. But yeah, definitely been a learning day. I just ran out of time today. And I'll take it up here again another day and finish this out the rest of the way. But I think that's going to be it for this video, guys. So I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.